Welcome to our Age of Wonders 4 Faction Build Guide. Age of Wonders 4 is a 4X game that shares many similarities with games like Civ, Might and Magic, and Master of Magic. The choices can be overwhelming, so today we will be talking about the details of a build orientated around morale in this game. My name is Eramusha, and let's begin. In this battle, I routed 18 units in 3 turns. This is done by the chain routing tactic, which is initiated by dealing a massive morale damage onto a few targets. Once a few units flee, all of the enemies will flee with them. They can then be re-educated and reintegrated into the soil. Since most builds don't care about morale, and it would be hard to bring back morale once they get close to see our majestic faces, making this build is very strong in large-scale fights against people that haven't died. How do we do this exactly? For those of you who don't know, units take 5 morale, or should I say, emotional damage when they are critically slapped. Oh, wow! They also lose 6 to 12 morale when an ally is routed. For a unit to be routed, it needs to lose 60 morale. To get that done, the star of the show would be our Nightmare Bastion. By stacking Intimidation Auras and Joy Siphoner Transformation on our Bastion, each Bastion can easily deal 20 to 60 morale damage to a target in a single turn, depending on the retaliations and crit, and is stacking 10 morale damage to other nearby targets. As each fleeing unit brings another -6 to -12 morale to all of its allies, this allows us to reliably chain route every enemy unit in just 3 turns. For body trait, Nightmare is a must since it's so majestic. It comes with aura morale damage, which we can stack on top of Intimidating Aura from Tome of Subjugation to output 10 morale damage per unit per turn. Note that your early source of morale damage comes from your nightmare heroes giving people nightmares. There is no requirement for the mind trait, but Tenacious and Overwhelming Tactic are both very good options, as Tenacious is very strong for neglecting damage penalty, and Critical Chance for Overwhelming Tactic can equate to more morale, or should I say, emotional damage. For culture, Industrial will be recommended for Nightmare Bastions who synergize with this build for its multi-attack and tanky nature. Moreover, Prospecting also generates a lot of industry and gold early on to develop cities rapidly. There are no requirements for cultural traits. Adapt Settlers are recommended for normal or far distant maps, and Wonders Architects is strong for its synergy with Awakened Tools and Fanatic Workforce.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Wizard King is recommended since Overcasting lets you cause despair twice, and Fanatic Workforce needs a lot of casting points to upkeep. It is recommended to take the Tyrant Sword and Shield Origin so your ruler can start with 2 stacking Intimidation Aura and a copy of Pokemon Sword and Shield. For Tier 1 tomes, Tome of Enchantment is taken as first tome to wake up and enslave your tools to get powerful early economic growth. Sundering Blades is also very powerful, and Copper Gundams are good reinforcement for early game that evolve into Tier 3 Iron Gundams. On the other hand, Tome of Zeal is taken as a second tome for the Fanatic Workforce to stack with Awakened Tools to make your enslaved tools work even harder. Legion of Zeal is also a powerful on-hit buff that synergizes well with Bastions. Tome of the Beasts and Tome of the Horde should be taken instead as primary or secondary tomes if you want to fight other people early. For the first Tier 2 tome, Tome of the Doom Herald will be the star of the show. By putting war paints on yourself and doing a transformation spin, you can become a Joy Siphoner. Joy Siphoner is very consistent and effective way in dealing single target morale damage since it inflicts -3 morale on hit through normal attacks, attacks of opportunity, and retaliations. This combined with crit, allows our units to hit up to -8 emotional damage per critical hit. Cause Despair can also force low morale enemies into fleeing, potentially starting the rout chain. And Cruel Weaponry is also a very powerful and consistent 30% damage boost for this build. Tome of Artificing is a good secondary tome, as Artisan Armament provides massive crit chance, which equates to more emotional damage. Tome of the Glades is also a reasonable alternative for Aspect of the Roots. Tier 3 Tome of Subjugation unlocks another source of morale damage, Intimidating Aura Enchantment. This stacks with the Intimidation Aura from Nightmares to make you so intimidating that you do 10 emotional damage per turn to adjacent tiles. Tyrant Knights are also solid late game units for this build, as Demoralizing Heavy Charge can inflict -10 morale. Tome of Vigor is a good choice as a second pick if Tome of Horde is not chosen, since making you bigger synergizes extremely well with Joy Siphoner on hit effects and hard-hitting units such as Tyrant Knights. Tome of Devastation, Teleportation, and Sanctuary are also reasonable alternatives. There are no required Tier 4 tomes. Tier 4 tome options can change depending on the tomes owned and come in the late game. Choices after Tier 3 tomes are generally less impactful. Here are possible options. Through stacking industry city buffs, your primary goal is to develop a strong economy that can produce and support bastions, while rushing Tier 2 tomes for Joy Siphoner. This build prefers a peaceful start, focusing on keeping good relations and on taking down wonders early. As bastions and Joy Siphoner become available, this build can exploit the oppressive chain routing effect that finishes large battles once a few enemies' units reach the -60 morale threshold. All of these factors make this build powerful in the mid-game to late game. A counter to this build would be the undead. Dead people are not affected by morales, making undead builds more effective against us. However, undead status cannot be attained until the mid-game, giving you time to build your economical lead. My name is Eramusha. To join our monthly game giveaway raffle, please subscribe and join the Discord. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.